JBNN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, 2 shot, 1 fatally in St. James gun attack. A man was shot and killed, and another injured in an incident in Roehampton district in St. James on Tuesday afternoon. The deceased has so far only been identified as Presser. It is reported that shortly after 2 p.m., the men were among a group of people at a shop in Roehampton when men traveling on board a motor car opened gunfire, hitting them. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, both men were discovered suffering from gunshot wounds and were rushed to hospital. Presser was pronounced dead, while the other man was admitted in serious condition. No motive has yet been established for the shooting. Carter reportedly battling Graves' disease and heart conditions. News has emerged online that Vybz Kartel, the incarcerated dancehall star, is suffering from an autoimmune disorder known as Graves' disease, which, coupled with 2 alleged heart conditions, makes his present situation life-threatening. Broadcaster Lisa Evers of Fox 5 New York said she had obtained a sworn medical affidavit from Vybz Kartel's private doctor, endocrinologist Karen Phillips, which outlined that the dancehall star has been battling Graves' disease for 7 years, and that despite being treated, it has not gone into remission. Evers also revealed that the 47-year-old DJ has 2 heart conditions that are getting worse, and that without surgery, he could die. Fighting for his life, yes, it can be dangerous. We do not want to get a phone call to say, because he was under this 23-hour lockdown and unable to breathe, that he succumbed to his illness, Kartel's attorney at law, Isaac Buchanan, warned during an interview with Evers on Tuesday. Buchanan said he had visited the reputed king of dancehall on Monday, May 29, and reported that he was not in great shape after being locked down for 23 hours a day over 2 alleged cell phone infractions within 3 days. Mr. Palmer's condition is life-threatening, Buchanan said gravely. His face is actually swollen, and as I said, one of the things is he always wears glasses because the condition that he has causes his eyes to protrude. Kartel's condition is allegedly exacerbated by a 23-hour prison lockdown placed on the DJ following the recent discovery of cell phones within his cell. He is in a cell, and if you can picture a brick oven, because that's how those cells are built, the ventilation is next to none, Buchanan argued. Graves' disease can become fatal when it is left untreated. That's because, with the disease, your immune system attacks your thyroid, a small butterfly-shaped gland at the base of your neck. According to medical resources, getting treatment and making the appropriate lifestyle changes will significantly improve your outcome and quality of life. The summertime DJ has had many medical scares over the past decade, often necessitating trips to medical institutions such as the Kingston Public Hospital and the University Hospital of the West Indies. Couple charged following siege of gun and ammo in Westmoreland. Detectives assigned to the Savlamar police station in Westmoreland have arrested and charged 2 people following the siege of a gun and the several rounds of ammunition on Blackheath Road in the parish on Tuesday, May 30. Charged with possession of illegal firearm and ammunition, dealing in prohibited weapon, and possession of parts of a firearm are 30-year-old John O. Barron, a shop operator of Blackheath Road in the parish, and 30-year-old Simone Walker of 3 Miles River, also in the parish. Reports are that about 5:45 a.m., lawmen went to Barron's home, where a room occupied by the couple was searched. A 9mm pistol along with a magazine containing 16 rounds and an extended magazine containing 5 rounds were found inside a black board box. The couple was subsequently arrested and charged after a question and answer session with their attorney. Their court date is being finalized. Jamaicans sentenced to U.S. federal prison for sweepstakes scam. 2 Jamaican men have been sentenced to federal prison for their role in a sweepstakes scam that targeted elderly people across the United States. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of South Carolina on Tuesday said 32-year-old Tyrell Harris and the 60-year-old Errol Durant were each sentenced to more than 5 years in prison. Both prison sentences are to be followed by a 3-year term of court-ordered supervision. The defendants are also required to pay $1.75 million in restitution. Harris, Durant, and other co-conspirators would contact elderly victims and falsely tell them they had won sweepstakes, but in order to claim the prizes, they needed to pay bogus fees or taxes. Evidence presented in court showed that the victims purchased prepaid cards, postal service money orders, bank money orders, and mailed cash and personal checks to the defendants. The defendants would then wire the fraudulent funds to co-conspirators in Jamaica to be dispersed amongst various bank accounts. Prosecutors say Harrison Durant reportedly received more than $1.7 million from at least 70 victims across 15 U.S. states as a result of the scheme. Jamaican husband of dead Canadian woman charged, more serious charge pending. Police have charged the husband of Jada Pauline Whitehead, the Canadian who died while visiting the island earlier this month. Rory Palmer, a 28-year-old fisherman from Shirasites in Portland Cottage, Clarendon, was charged with causing grievous bodily harm with intent. Palmer is to appear in the Clarendon Parish Court in Maple on Thursday, June 1. Whitehead, a 28-year-old school board employee from Toronto, Ontario, died on May 13 after she reportedly came to visit Palmer in the Shirasites community to celebrate their wedding anniversary. A preliminary autopsy result indicated that Whitehead died from a blunt force injury to the head. We are still waiting on the toxicology results to determine if he will be charged for the homicide, Superintendent Carlos Russell, head of the Clarendon Police Division, said. Whitehead reportedly arrived on the island 2 weeks before her death. Police reported that the day before she died, she and her husband had a dispute which got physical. It is alleged that a fan was thrown at the Canadian and her head slammed into a wall. Whitehead reportedly left the home and went to stay at her friend's house in the same community. While there, her friends reportedly advised her to visit the hospital. However, Whitehead expressed that she did not wish to go and refused to report the incident to the police. Man gets life in prison for murder of Manchester supermarket owner during robbery. The Clarendon mechanic who murdered supermarket owner Jinsen He in Porus, Manchester last December, was yesterday afternoon sentenced to life in prison. A.J. Fraser, 22, will serve 15 years before it's considered for parole. Justice Dayton Pusey handed down the sentence after Fraser pleaded guilty in the Home Circuit Court. Fraser also pleaded guilty to robbery with aggravation and wounding with intent and was given 10 years and 12 years respectively. He also pleaded guilty to 3 counts of making use of a firearm and was sentenced to serve 15 years each. The sentences will run concurrently. A senior prosecutor said that the sentences were recommended by the prosecution after considering the early guilty plea, as well as the facts of the case and the certain administrative processes and enactments. The prosecutor also indicated that although the mandatory minimum for the firearm charge is 20 years under the new Firearm Act, the Director of Public Prosecutions, after careful consideration, recommended 15 years. Reports from the Manchester Police were that about 7:30 p.m. on December 9, Fraser was with a group of men who robbed Zing He, otherwise called Leo. After taking an undetermined sum of money, they shot dead the 39-year-old businessman who was a co-owner of the supermarket in the southern Manchester town. They also fired wildly as they exited the building. A customer, Alfonso Cohen, who hailed from the Berrydale community in the parish, was also killed during the incident, but Fraser was not asked to answer to Cohen's murder. Attorney at law Paul Gentles represented the convict. Man to serve 25 years for double murder. A Kingston man who pleaded guilty for his role in a brazen 2013 daylight robbery that ended in a double murder will have to spend 25 years in prison for his crime. Shane Coke was given the mandatory life sentence and ordered to serve 25 years before he is eligible for parole during a hearing in the Home Circuit Court on Tuesday. Coke was convicted for the shooting deaths of businessman Adolph Campbell, a licensed firearm holder, and one of his employees, Michael Francis, at his Linford Avenue, St. Andrew Business Place on April 12, 2013. Another man who was with Campbell and Francis escaped unhurt. Coke's accomplice was shot dead by the businessman. Coke fled the scene of the shooting with his gun, Campbell's licensed gun, and the gun belonging to his mortally wounded crony, according to evidence prosecutors had lined up for his trial. He was apprehended by the police a short time later and the gun seized after the car in which he was traveling was intercepted near the crime scene. It was pointed out during an identification parade by a policeman who witnessed the mid-morning shooting. The police report that about 9 a.m. on April 12, 2013, Campbell was sitting in front of his business place along with Francis and another man. Coke and his accomplice were seen walking along Kew Road before turning onto Linford Avenue and stopping at a garage. They turned back and went to where Campbell and his employee were sitting and asked if they knew where the radiator shop was before pulling handguns. Coke's accomplice grabbed a gold chain from around Campbell's neck before a tussle developed between them. According to the police report, the accomplice opened fire after Campbell pulled his licensed firearm and Francis ran to his assistance. The businessman returned gunfire, and when the shooting ended, all three were found with gunshot wounds. Coke tried to help his accomplice flee the scene, but the wounded man collapsed and later succumbed to his injuries. JBN will keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.